So, we need to talk about PlayStation 6. According to analysts at Sandstone, the PS6 could be pushed all the way to 2029 or even later. And Sony CFO just confirmed the PS5 is now only in the middle of its journey. But here's the thing, this isn't just Sony being greedy or lazy. In case you haven't figured it out, there's a legitimate crisis happening in the semiconductor industry, and it's all because of AI. The global memory market is in complete chaos. DRAM prices have surged over 171% year over year. DDR5 spot prices have quadrupled since September 2025. This isn't a pandemic style shortage, it's a strategic reallocation. Samsung, SK, Hynix, and Micron looked at the AI boom and said, we can make more money selling high bandwidth memory to data centers than selling DDR5 to gamers and other consumers. AI is currently projected to consume 20% of global DRAM capacity in 2026. And here's the kicker, producing 1 gigabyte of HBM requires 3 to 4 times the capacity of regular DDR5. OpenAI and Microsoft's Project Stargate alone has manufacturers committing 900,000 DRAM wafer starts per month. Every AI chip that gets made means fewer RAM sticks for PCs, phones, and consoles. Industry insider Tom Henderson reports that Sony and Microsoft are debating whether to delay next-gen consoles because of RAM availability. The PS6 was supposed to launch late 2027 or early 2028, about 7 years after the release of the PS5. Current predictions put the PS6 between $700 and $900 at launch. Some analysts say it could even go significantly higher because of the shortage. There's literally prediction markets on Call Sheet where traders are betting on whether Sony can hit $600. The RAM crisis is honestly the biggest factor in these markets right now. When Sony announced the PS5 Pro at $700 with no disk drive, no vertical stand, 74% of players in early polls said it was too expensive. Industry analysts even said the pricing reflects Sony protecting its margins and the lack of Xbox competition. With Xbox just epically fumbling this generation, Sony apparently just decided they can charge whatever they want. Even people who bought it are struggling to recommend it though. Kotaku's one-year review said they keep forgetting they even own it. Third-party support has even been pretty disappointing. So if the PS5 Pro at $700 got this reception, imagine selling the PS6 at $800 or $900. And here's the surprising part, from what I have seen, gamers are actually relieved about the delay. Reddit's full of just comments like they should delay it to 2028 or 2029 and normalize 10-year cycles. The PS5 generation has felt short, not in years, but in games. So many titles are still cross-gen with PS4. Spider-Man 2 was the first massive Sony exclusive that PS5 dropped in 3 years after the launch. Console generations traditionally run 5 to 7 years, but with games now taking 4 to 6 years to develop, a 7-year cycle means you only get 1, maybe 2 games per major franchise. So it's a serious discussion about extending the generations to 8, 9, or even 10 years. The graphical leap isn't even as dramatic anymore. And with those development timelines getting longer and longer, the value proposition is just less and less, and the prices just keep going up and up. This isn't just about consoles. Dell and Lenovo have announced a 15 to 20% price increase on PCs. Apple reportedly is not going to be upgrading RAM in their 2026 flagship phones, sticking to 12 gig instead of jumping to 16 because they can't secure the supply. IDC predicts the smartphone market could contract by 2.9 to 5.2% in 2026. Smartphones are the most ubiquitous consumer device on the planet, and are getting absolutely squeezed by AI. And when will we see the prices drop? Well, not anytime soon, because forecasts suggest prices are going to stay high through at least mid-2026, and I've seen some even later. New DRAM fabs take 3 to 5 years to build, so even if manufacturers expand capacity today, we wouldn't realistically see relief until 2028 or 2029. If the PS5 launched in November 2020 and the PS6 drops in late 2029, that is a 9-year generation and the longest in modern PlayStation history. But insider Moore's Law is dead says Sony's agreement with AMD to manufacture the Orion APU by mid-2027 still appears to be on track. So Sony doesn't have to finalize DRAM amounts until later in production. In theory, the chip could be ready by 2027, but if memory prices are still insane, Sony could just stockpile chips and wait for prices to normalize. The PS5 Pro refresh in 2026 would extend the PS5 life cycle even further if Sony can squeeze value out of the PS5 for another 3 or 4 years. So why rush the PS6? The PS5 Pro even showed us that gamers aren't necessarily clamoring for better graphics if it means paying a massive premium. The Pro is for super fans. Everyone else is fine with the base PS5. The jump from PS4 to PS5 gave us SSDs, ray tracing, and for gaming, what's the PS6 going to offer? 8K? Most people don't even have 8K TVs. Better ray tracing, frame generation, these are incremental improvements, not revolutionary features. And if the PS6 launches at $900, that value proposition just completely breaks down. When the PS5 Pro hit $700, the immediate reaction was just build a gaming PC. And at $900 for PS6, that argument gets way stronger. Even though gaming PCs are still expensive, you can at least do multiple things with them. Consoles do still offer convenience, no driver updates, no compatibility issues, but if the PS6 launches at $900, you're getting really close to PC territory. A lot of people will start questioning whether they should just make the jump, especially again if you can do multiple things with your PC. And what if memory prices don't normalize by 2027 or 2028? Sony would have 3 options. Launch with less RAM than planned, which would hamstring the performance and making the console obsolete even faster. Launch at $900 to $1,000, only appealing to a tiny fraction of gamers, or delay even further until prices stabilize in 2029, 2030, or even later. Option 3 seems most likely. Sony shouldn't hopefully launch with a gimped console or price themselves out entirely. I hope they're not that stupid. And the PlayStation brand is valuable enough that I think they can afford to wait. The PS5 even still has untapped potential if they just really worked at it. Developers are just now making games truly built for it from the ground up, with game development taking longer and longer than ever. 7-year console cycles with major franchises only getting 1 entry per generation. We need a longer life in the consoles. And the price issue is critical. If Sony launches during a memory crisis, they either lose money on every unit or price it so high nobody buys it, meaning they lose money anyway. Gamers agree. The response to delay rumors has been surprisingly positive, saying, I'm not ready for a new console yet anyway. So what should Sony do? Really, I think they should keep supporting the PS5 through 2028 and 2029. Release the PS5 Pro refresh in 2026, focus on exclusive games that make people want to stay in the ecosystem, and use that time to lock in favorable pricing with AMD and memory manufacturers. Stockpile components if needed, make sure the PS6 can launch at $599 or less, preferably less, and most critically, have a killer lineup of launch titles ready. The PS5 suffered from cross-gen games and just lack of exclusives. And the PS6 needs to launch with games that couldn't run on the PS5. So the PS5 likely not coming out until 2029. I think that'll be okay. The AI-driven memory crisis, not okay. And console manufacturers can't just make cheap RAM appear. Sony could rush to market, but it would either be absurdly expensive or compromised in specs, and neither is a recipe for success. So hopefully they do the smart thing and wait, let the PS5 generation run long, and hope the memory prices normalize and the AI bubble pops soon. And when the PS6 does launch, make it a true generational leap at a price that makes sense, not a half-step rush to market during a crisis. But what do you guys think? Are you ready to wait until 2029, or should Sony just push forward regardless? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and peace out. Bye.